I'm Anil Kumar, sharing with you some test questions on pattern rules. Let me first congratulate my student Dhruv for this excellent performance. Like always, he gets 100% marks. That's amazing. Let us discuss the questions on this test paper. So we have two patterns from the test paper. We need to describe the patterns and write next three terms. I'll add few more questions to this later. So the question here is describe the patterns and write next three terms. There are two different patterns. I'd like you to pause the video, copy these questions, answer, and then look into my suggestions. First pattern is the numbers are 5, 8, 11, 14. You have to describe this pattern and write the next three terms. The second pattern is 14, 25, 36, 47, and so on. Here is my suggestion. Let us try to analyze the pattern first. Now in a pattern, we give numbers to each term. These are the terms in the pattern. This is my first term, that is the second term, third term, fourth term, and so on. So what we see, starting with 5, which is the first term, we can get 8 by adding 3, right? So when we add 3, we get 8. To get 11, again we add 3, right? So this is how we get the next term. And if we continue this pattern, we keep on getting the remaining terms in this particular pattern. So by adding 3, we can get the next term. So one way to describe the pattern is, let me write down one way, which we just figured out, and that is start at 5, and then what did we do? Add 3 each time. So this is a way to describe this pattern. Now the next part is write next three terms. To write the next term, we'll continue this pattern. That is to say, we'll add 3. So if I add 3 to 14, then what do I get? I will get the number 17, right? So the next number for me is 17. And then again I need to add 3, right? So add 3 and then again add 3 to get the next three numbers. So we'll write plus 3 here, plus 3 here, right? 17 plus 3 is 20, and then 20 plus 3 is 23. So that is how you can get more numbers from the same pattern. Now let me add few questions for you on this particular series. Now next question for me is to, how will you find, let us say 20th term? How will you find 20th term? Now going with this pattern, you have to continue it for a long time. So to find 20th term, what should you do? You should find this pattern rule in a different way, right? So we call that as an expression. So let us now develop an expression so that we can easily find a pattern rule, right? So now I will teach you how to develop an expression. And using that expression, we'll find the 20th term. So the expression here relates the pattern with this number 3. How many times did you add 3 to get 8? 1 time. How many times did you add 3 to get 11? 2 times. How many times did you add 3 to get 14? 3 times. 3 times 3 is being added to the number, previous number, to get the next number, right? So times 3 has to do something with our expression. Do you get the idea? So that is how we develop the expression. So we say times 3. So the number, we have to times it by 3. So times 3 is critical to get the number. Now let us say we have to get the first number. 3 times 1 is 3. How do I get 5? How do I get 5? 3 times 1 is 3. How do I get 5? Add 2. Good. So if I add 2, I might get my number. Let me check this rule. So this is another pattern rule we are trying to develop, right? So that is the rule. Times 3 plus 2. Times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and when you add 2, you get 8. 3 times 3 is 9. When you add 2, you get 11. 4 times 3 is 12. When you add 2, you get 14. So this rule works. Do you see that? And therefore, we can write an expression which relates the next number in our pattern. At times, we also relate it by output, right? So what we say is the next number is, these are called the term numbers. These are called term numbers. So these are called, let me write them as term number, right? And let me write these term numbers by letter in general n. Okay, so we'll write n. So we'll say term number, or let me write here equation. We say term number, let's say with this symbol, times 3 plus 2 is our expression, right? At times, for convenience, we use a variable here. So we'll use variable n. So we'll say n times 3 plus 2. Now remember here, we used n as our variable, right? So whenever we write expressions, we use variables. N is our variable. N signifies term number, right? So now I think it is easy to find the 20th term. Can you now calculate the 20th term? Okay, let's try to do it. So n becomes 20 for 20th term, right? So we say 20 times 3, let's do 20 times 3 plus 2. 20 times 3 is 60, 60 plus 2 is 62. So we get our answer as equals to 62. Do you get the idea? So what we learned in this video is how to develop an expression to find the numbers in our pattern, right? So that is what we learned. And now this is a question for you to do. Let me help you out, but what you need to do here is find a pattern rule, which we can find very easily just as we did. So we do, how do we get 25 from 14? How do we get 36? And how do we get 47? And if we extend this pattern, we'll get next 3 numbers, correct? So if we extend, we get the next 3 numbers. So we can answer this question very easily. Perfect. So what you notice here is 25 take away 14 is 11, right? 36 take away 25 is also 11. So you are adding 11 each time. So that is the pattern. If you add 11 each time, you get your numbers. So you can write down your pattern rule, and that is start at 14 and then add 11 each time. So this is one way of writing your pattern rule, and then you can get rest of the numbers by adding 11, right? You can do that. Now my question again comes, find 20th term. How will you find 20th term? That is the key, right? So for that, you need to develop an expression, right? So you need to find an expression, and in this expression, I will use n as term number, right? N as term number, right? How do I get it? We know that by adding 11, we are getting our result. So let us do times 11. Times 11. What is, this is our first term. So let's write down, term number is 1, 2, these are values of n. 1, 2, 3, 4. 11 times 1 is 11. How do I get 14? You get by adding 3 to that. That is your rule now. So you could write your expression as n times 11 plus 3. To get the 20th term, you will write 20 times 11 plus 3. That is 220 plus 3, or 223. So we get this number as 223, right? Do you get it? These are the steps to be followed. I hope with this video you get the strategy to find 20th term and also to write an expression to represent your pattern. So that is an extension to the test for you to do even better. So I'd like you to find more terms, and now as an exercise, find 50th term. 50th term for both these, okay? Use your expression to find 50th term. So that is the question for you. I hope this video helps you to understand the concepts and do far, far better. Thank you and all the best.